Thank you for joining this lesson. We're going to do binomial expansions and expressions. Number 5a, expand and simplify 1 minus half x raised to power 5. Therefore, we're going to expand this, and I'll begin with the binomial coefficients of power 5, whereby I should begin with 1, then 5, 1, 5, then the next should be 10, 10, 5 and 1. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 terms for power 5. Therefore, I'm going to start with 1 raised to power 5. But at that point, negative 1 out of 2x should be to power 0. Negative 1 out of 2x should be to power 0. Then the next, we're going to have 1 raised to power 1. Remember, the powers of 1 should drop from 5 to 0, while those of negative half x should increase from 0 to 5. So that negative 1 out of 2x should now be, this was power 5, now it becomes power 4, but this one now takes power 1. So that in the next, 1 becomes power 3, and negative 1 out of 2x becomes power 2. Remember, at every given term, the powers should add up to 5. The next is going to be 1 power 2, and negative 1 out of 2x now goes to power 3. Then in this one, we'll have 1 power 1, then negative 1 out of 2x takes power 4, and finally 1 multiplied by 1 raised to power 0 and negative 1 out of 2x raised to 5. So now we can open the powers. We will have negative half x by 0 becoming 1, 1 by 5 becoming 1 and 1. So 1 times 1 times 1, this will be 1. The next is going to be when negative half x is raised to 1, it remains the way it is. So we will have 5 times 1, because 1 times 1 raised to 4 is just 1. Therefore, it will be 5 times 1 times negative half x. So we will have negative 5 out of 2x. The other one will be a plus. Since we have negative half x being squared, the negative disappears, and we'll have 1 out of 4x squared. Therefore, 1 power 3 is 1. So we will have 10 times 1 times 2 out of 4x squared. And this will give us 10 out of 4. 10 out of 4 x squared. Then the next will be 1 power 2 remains 1. Negative 1 out of 2x power 3 becomes negative 1 out of 8x power 3. Therefore, we multiply it by 10. So it will be negative 10 out of 8, and x is now power 3. The next one is going to be a positive, since negative half x power 4 now becomes 1 out of 16. Then there is multiplying by 5. Therefore, it will be 5 out of 16, and x is to power 4. And finally, we will have a negative 1 times 1 multiplied by negative 1 out of 32 x power 5. So it will be 1 out of 32 x power 5. So that is the expansion. We are told to expand, then simplify. So to simplify is to mean that if there is anything which is common, we can work it out. So this is going to be 1 minus 5 out of 2 is 2.5x plus 10 out of 4 is also 2.5 x squared minus 10 out of 8, which is 1.25 x power 3 plus 5 out of 16. This is a 0.3125. X is to power 4. Then minus 1 out of 32. This is a 0.03125 x power 5. So this is the binomial expansion in its simplest form. Use the expansion to evaluate 0.98 raised to power 5, leaving your answer to 4 significant figures. Therefore, we're going to equate 1 minus half x, this is raised to power 5, with 0.98 raised to power 5. Because the powers are the same, we can equate the bases. So when we subtract 1 from this side, we'll have negative half. X equals to negative 0.02. We can multiply through by 2, and x is going to be 0.04, because the negative will disappear, and by 2 both sides, this will be negative 0.04. Therefore, now, wherever we have x in this expansion now, we're going to substitute it with 0.04. So we will start with 1 minus 2.5x, then plus 2.5, 0.04 squared, minus 1.25, then 0.04 cubed, plus 0.3125 into 0.04 power 4, and finally minus 0.03125 into 0.04 raised to power 5. Therefore, we can use the calculator to carry out this expansion, and I will begin with 1 minus 2.5 into 0.04. Then I add 2.5 into 0.04 and I square. Then I subtract 1.25 into 0.04 raised to power 3. Then I add 0.3125 into 0.04 raised to power 4. Then finally I subtract 0.03125 into 0.04 raised to power 5. So this is going to give me 0.9039, correct to 4SF. Thank you for following. Subscribe and share.